The following video features an experimental add-on that decreases performance in Microsoft Flight Sim slightly and therefore results in a slightly poorer video than usual. I do apologise for this, you may encounter some stutters. Without further delay, let's get right into it. Whether you want to do walkarounds of a BAE 146 or a Cessna 152, up until recently in Microsoft Flight Sim you'd have to get pretty creative with your drone camera and then post-production editing. Well, now there's a way to do it in-house on Microsoft Flight Sim on PC with a payware add-on that many of you may be familiar with, FS Realistic. This add-on has been updated to version 2.1 and it brings over a wonderful experimental new feature that brings a first-person mode into Microsoft Flight Sim, allowing you to get up close and personal to your aircraft of choice. If you're not familiar with FS Realistic, it's an add-on that's been released on Microsoft Flight Sim for quite some time now that adds camera and sound effects to Microsoft Flight Sim, almost 40 of them, really boosting the immersion, from better turbulence to cabin ambience to cockpit shake on landing. If you want an immersion booster, this may be an add-on for you, but you certainly pay for it, coming in at €33 or about 30 UK pounds. The focus of today's video isn't necessarily this add-on, it is just a feature of the add-on that's been introduced, first person mode, so let's get right into it. Okay, so as you can see we're up close and friendly with a BAE 146 here at my local airport. You can see at times I've got flashlights going on the aircraft. That's all done with FS Realistic. I think it's very cool. If you're a content creator or just like filming awesome cinematics, then instantly I'm going to say off the bat I highly recommend this. It's going to save you a lot of time editing and it looks awesome. If you're a casual simmer, then probably stick with me for a minute more or so just to get an idea of what this product is. Of course, I'm walking around. As I've said, it's all in-house. We're getting up close and personal to Microsoft Flight Sim in a variety of situations, from the BAE 146 to the PMDG 737 to the airport terminals, especially payware terminals with really good interiors. This is the add-on for you. Well, how does it work? Well, heading back to my local airport with FS Realistic open on the screen, you just need to install it by downloading a .exe off the vendor's website. Once you've got it installed, as it is an external application, it doesn't really matter whether or not you've got Microsoft Flight Sim closed or open, at least that's my experience anyway. It should connect up pretty seamlessly. Then assign a button to toggle first person mode or avatar mode as it's officially called on the application. Once you've done that, use W, A, S, D or your arrow keys to move about. It's as simple as that. Now once you're moving about, you may want to get higher and lower. You can do that with your mouse scroll wheel, so you can find a natural height, although it will try and guess a natural height for you. It's not always perfect. If you want to go faster, you can run by pressing shift, and if you want to go slower or a bit faster, you can use the mouse buttons, left to go faster, right to go slower. It's a really cool application in that regard, as I hope the showcased footage is showing off to you. Now, we've talked about what this add-on does. How can it be used? Well, of course, getting up close and personal to aircraft allows you to sort of recreate a walk around. Put the flashlight on, you need to assign a button for that as well, and it looks really realistic. Doesn't this mean you can walk around aircraft? You can basically walk around the whole world within Microsoft Flight Sim now, and that brings over endless opportunities that I probably haven't even thought of. If you can find some really good scenery that has some really good external modelling, for example Duxford or Perigi Designs Belfast, and interior modelling for that point, then this may be for you. Now there are some issues with it, so to list them off the top of my head, you will see a bit of a performance drop. For me, it's about 10% down to 20% if it's high intensity, you know, a lot of ground vehicles moving around. It does take a big chunk off, but do remember you're not going to be running around in first person mode throughout your flight, so it's not a biggie. And to be fair, I find it's still playable on my system anyway. You will also notice a quality reduction as well. I don't know what it does, but it seems to make it a bit grainy. Sharpness must be increased. This may be a setting they've done, But I'd like to see that fixed, because you go in an interior and sometimes it looks like you're staring at TV static. Don't get me wrong, at night and with the correct cloud conditions it looks perfect. It looks just like Microsoft Flight Sim, but especially with high intensity lights you're going to notice it. So that is probably the biggest letdown for me there. But it's an experimental feature, so hopefully it will be fixed on in the future. Now I've talked about flashlight mode, but you've also got avatar mode. I'm not going to showcase that because, to be perfectly honest with you, it looks a bit silly at the moment. It just puts a little man or woman walking about in Microsoft Flight Sim, but it hasn't been animated correctly, so he's sort of T-posing, which is quite horrible to look at, to be fair. But aside from that, it is a really cool add-on. Highly recommend it with Ground Services X. Here you can see me with a PMDG 737 getting the jetway connected. I mean, this is the life. But it also does highlight another flaw, the fact that cockpit sounds are collated with FS Realistic sounds even when you're walking outside. Don't get me wrong, FS Realistic does cover them with most of their sounds, but you're not getting that immersive volumetric sound that you normally do when using drone camera to get around your aircraft. So that's a bit of a letdown there, but this is something they're actively working on, I do believe, so hopefully we'll see this fixed in the future. As I said, it is experimental. Now of course with version 2.1.0 there are some other fixes as well, from individual aircraft fixes such as the Milviz PC6 controls being fixed and mouse zoom freezing being fixed as well. But to be fair, first person or avatar mode is the highlight here, and I think it's very cool. There is also a nice manual included that goes through everything you need to know, because it's not the easiest to get to use if you've never used FS Realistic before. They've made it as seamless as possible, but you might be thrown off a bit because there's so much stuff you can do with it. All in all, I would recommend it if you know what you're getting into. It's not perfect, it will hit your FPS, it might hit your quality, but use it right and you can have an absolute blast. Put it with GSX and a highly optimised aircraft such as the PMDG 737 and you're on to an absolute winner. Put it with an aircraft like the Phoenix A320, which isn't so well optimised, and you might struggle a bit unless you've got a really good computer. It does cost money, but if you like this sort of thing, I would recommend it. I'm certainly going to use it, so you'll see it all over my YouTube channel. I look forward to seeing this progress. Definitely a lot of potential here. From me today, that is all. Last few things I want to say. If you have interest in eye tracking to create realistic motion in Microsoft Flight Sim, then you might want to check out the Tobii Eye Tracker 5. I've featured it on my channel before. There's now 15% off, and you can reach that 15% off discount by using my affiliate link down below. Of course, it doesn't cost anything to you, but it does help out the channel, so just take a look at it. It would be much appreciated. Be sure to like, comment and subscribe if you've enjoyed. I'll see you around, guys. Bye bye.